I'm going to go ahead and record the session. That way there, I'll send it to you guys, and then anyone else who signed up today, I'll get that sent out to all of you at the end of the meeting. It just takes a little bit of time to render afterwards, and then I'll get it out to you. All right, so welcome to the final information session for the 2019 AECT Leadership Development Internship Program application. My name is Megan Murtaugh, and I'm the current coordinator for the program. I've been doing this for, this is my third year doing this, and I'm formerly the 2014 Cochrane Leadership Intern. And I first joined AECT back in 2011 and have been attending conferences since then and gotten more and more involved within the association each year that I've been a member. So I can answer questions for you about the intern program and also about AECT in general if you have more questions about that as well towards the end of the session. I'm going to give you an overview of the program, go through and talk about the different components of the application packet, and then there will be time for questions at the end of the session. But if you do have questions as I'm going through, it's a very informal presentation. So if you have questions, definitely let me know, and I'd be happy to answer those as we go along as well. All right, so underneath the Leadership Development Internship Program within AECT, there are three different awards that are given out for leadership development. We have the Carl F. Strobin, Lee W. Cochran, and the Jenny K. Johnson. The first two awards, the Strobin and the Cochran, are both managed by the intern coordinator, which is the position that I currently hold. And then the Jenny K. Johnson Award is managed by the International Division. That award is only awarded in even years. So that award is not being given out this year, but it will be awarded next year in 2020. So the two awards, or two types of awards, I should say, are the Strobin and the Cochran that will be awarded this year. And those will be decided by a selection committee. I don't actually make the decision, I just manage the process. All right, so some of the internship highlights. As an intern, you'll be featured prominently throughout the convention through service at key sessions and meetings. You'll also have an opportunity to engage with leaders within AECT in the field of instructional design and technology. And you'll also get a behind-the-scenes look at how the association operates. We will also grow your leadership skills through our mentoring program, where you're matched with a leader to work towards a personal goal over the course of the following year. So after you're selected as an intern, you would serve as an intern at the 2019 conference, and then you would engage in a mentoring opportunity from 2019 to 2020. And you'll identify a goal and be paired with a mentor who will help you set milestones to achieve the goal and work through it over the course of the year afterwards. You also have an opportunity to engage in a service project with your class members, and that will depend on how many class members we have. Sometimes there are 2 interns, sometimes there are 4 interns. So it'll just depend on how many awards are selected, or awardees are selected this year, on how many people will work with you on your service project. And it's something that you will identify as a class after speaking with different leaders within the association to get an idea of what the needs are of the association, and to identify something that is feasible for you to do in a 1-year time span. Actually, a little bit less than that, because you also are going to create a proposal to submit to the 2020 conference to present your project, your class intern project. So you have about a year to get it complete from start to finish, but you also have some prep for submitting the project idea as a proposal for the conference as well. All right, so internship eligibility. How can you qualify? There are 2 ways to qualify. You either have to be a graduate student or a new professional, and new professional is within 3 years of entering the field, and that would qualify you to apply for the AECT Leadership Development Internship Program. We have certain criteria that the selection committee uses to evaluate your application packet. They will look at your service in a variety of activities within AECT and outside of AECT as well. So if you have activities that you've gotten involved in within your school or previous organizations that you've worked for, those all should be included as part of your application and will be considered as part of the evaluation. They will also evaluate your application based on evidence of your commitment to AECT and its programs, so how you're able to communicate what you envision yourself doing within the association currently and within the, probably within the next 5 to 10 years, if you give an idea of what your goals are and what you would like to be able to do as a leader within the organization, as an emerging leader within the organization. They'll also be looking at your emerging leadership activities, whether it's within AECT or outside of the organization. They look at both. Also, your professionalism, how well your application packet is put together, your CV or your resume, if it's in alignment with what you talk about in your candidate statements, and also in alignment with what your sponsor says about you. So they look for alignment between those 3 different components of the application. And they also want to see what your goals and interests are, and that there's an alignment with that as well. All right. So your online application packet will consist of filling out a Google form, which contains the candidate statements. You're submitting your CV or resume, and that is through a Dropbox link request, and that link is in the application, the Google form itself, but you also will get an email after you submit the application that has a link to the Dropbox upload as well. And then the third and final component of the application packet consists of a sponsor letter, and that is also submitted through a Dropbox upload request. So your sponsor that you've identified in the Google form will automatically get a request sent to them to submit a sponsor letter for you with directions on how to upload the sponsor letter to the Dropbox request file. All right, so how do you want to select a sponsor? How do you identify a sponsor? The sponsor should be a current AECT member, and also your sponsor also can only sponsor one applicant. So when you approach someone to sponsor you, make sure that they understand they are only able to sponsor one individual. And the way I usually make that decision is whoever has submitted their application through the Google form first and identifies that sponsor is the one that gets to retain that sponsor. So make sure that you're clear with your sponsor, because that is one of probably the most frequently found errors or complications that we have with the application process, is that applicants identify a sponsor that someone else already identified. And if you apply early enough, then I can reach out to you and say, hey, by the way, you've selected a sponsor that has already been identified by another applicant. Please find another sponsor. Your sponsor also should be knowledgeable about you. They should know your work ethic, your leadership abilities, your ability to project manage, those types of things. So it should be someone either that is your advisor, or if you're a new professional, your direct report, your department chair, your program chair that you report to. It should be someone who's been in a supervisory role for you, not a peer, not someone that doesn't have supervisory experience over you or have knowledge of your ability to lead and initiate tasks and things like that. And the supervisor should also be a non-familial person, so someone that's not related to you. You really want to pick someone that has a good idea of your character and your ability to develop as a leader within AECT, and that can articulate that well for you. So those are some things to consider when you identify a sponsor. Another thing to keep in mind too is that the request for the sponsor letter isn't triggered until you complete your Google Form application. So try not to wait until the last day to submit, which is June 3rd. Try not to wait till that day to submit your application because then it's not necessarily guaranteed that your sponsor will have enough time to get that letter uploaded for you to be considered. And everything has to be turned in by the end of the day on June 3rd. All right, so speaking about those timelines, the application for this year opened on April 1st, and it does close on June 3rd at 11, and that should be 11:59 p.m. Central Time. And then the selection of this year's intern class will be done around July 15th, and that is usually done in conjunction with the 2019 Summer Leadership Meeting, which will be held in Bloomington, Indiana this year. So typically the slate of interns is presented to the board of directors, the AECT board of directors, and they approve it, and then notification is sent out to the applicants on whether or not you've been selected for the 2019 internship program. Our conference location this year is in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're staying at the Westgate Resort and Hotel and Casino. And the dates are October 19th to the 25th. And I put a little star there because those dates are, the date is a little bit earlier than what is usually advertised on the conference site because interns typically arrive a day before the conference begins and get to see behind the scenes how the conference is set up, get a chance to meet with all the leaders that are there ahead of time, and ask questions and start, learning more about the inner workings of the organization before the conference gets started. And then you're required to stay through noon of the last day of the conference, which is the 25th. So usually you will arrive by 3 p.m. on that first date, October 19th, and then you would be able to leave by noon on October. All right, so after going through all of that information, I'm sure there are questions. So I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have about the internship program or AECT in general, whatever I can do to help you understand the program better, or if you have questions about the application.
I have a question for you, Megan. So if we're presenting at the conference, how does that work with the intern schedule?
I get that information from you right after you've been awarded, and I work with Delinda, who does the scheduling, and we take care of it. We make it work. And I apologize. I normally bring up the website, but like I said, I've been having internet issues. And so right now it's telling me that I have no internet. So I'm really excited that we haven't gotten thrown out of the meeting room. But I normally will bring up the AECT intern program website and show you, where to go for the application and everything. I'm just going to try one other location. Using a different browser. Does anyone else have any other questions? Or if you want to ask questions about the experience, I can answer questions about that as well.
Yeah, what does a typical day look like for an intern at the conference?
Okay, good question. So your day will start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and that will start with breakfast. Usually there is some someone from the association that will join us. I usually have at least one person, and then sometimes between 3 and 5 people, just depending on who has availability in their schedule. So I'll invite past AECT presidents. I've invited past interns to come and share their experiences with you. And so they come and they'll have breakfast with you in the morning, and it's an opportunity for you to hear about their own leadership journey within the association, and for you to ask questions of them about their experiences and what they see as needs within the association as well, to help you guys come up with an idea for your class project. That's how your day starts off. Then the day can go anywhere from attending the AECT Board of Directors meeting. That's usually one of the first couple of days of the conference. You'll attend the first meeting, and then there's a second meeting on Saturday morning that you'll also attend. The meeting on Saturday morning is when you would present your idea for your class project, and you'd present that to the board. And you also usually give a little reflection about your experience, quick, like 2 sentences, maybe 3 sentences, because they're pretty pressed for time during their meetings. Just to give an overview of, what your experience was and what you found of value as being an intern, and having the activities and the experiences that you had during that week at the convention. You also assist with different sessions. It'll depend on what the needs are of the current planner, who is Michael Grant. So, and John Curry is his co-planner. So I will check in with both of them once the interns have been identified, and once the schedule has been more developed. Like right now, there's more of like an outline. So as we get closer to the conference and we have a better idea of when sessions are actually happening, then I will reach out and find out what sessions they need help with. In the past, we've helped with poster sessions and roundtable sessions. We've helped with the membership meeting. I'm trying to think what else. Anything, emerging technology showcase we've helped out with. So any session that needs additional assistance with getting people organized, or directing people and getting people to the right location, things like that. The other things that you will participate in are division meetings or committee meetings. You're encouraged to go and attend, even if you don't belong to one of those division meetings or divisions or committees. You're encouraged to go and explore those meetings and sit in and listen and identify another division that you could get involved with if you're currently involved with the Graduate Student Assembly or a committee. You will also, as an intern, you are also expected to join the Leadership Development Committee and stay on that for a minimum of 1 year. So you would attend the Leadership Development Committee meeting at the conference, and then they have a monthly meeting and engage in leadership development activities and work on specific projects for the association, and that would run the course of the year after your internship. So you would start that at the conference in 2019, and then you would serve on that committee through to the end of, until you would go to conference in 2020. We also have a leadership luncheon where you're introduced to the association leaders and presented with intern medals that you wear throughout the conference. And those medals are kind of like your backstage pass and get you into any meeting that you would like to listen in on or participate in, and identify you to the membership of being an intern for the year. And so you will, if you're wearing that medal, be approached by members of the organization to ask you questions and ask for assistance and things like that, and ask you about your experience. It's very usual or very typical for things like that to happen. That's just a general overview. I mean, it depends each day, but those are some of the activities that are usually scheduled for the interns to participate in.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have questions?
Well, maybe a personal concern. This is Anu.
Hi, Anu.
Hi, Megan. Hello, everybody. For me, I'm just like, I'm about 4 months into instructional design and technology as a graduate student at UT.
Okay.
And I'm actually checking the website as you're speaking to see. I also confirmed that it's biennial, and I'm just wondering if it's too early to take on the trial on this.
Say one more time.
Okay, so what I just said is I'm 4 months into the program as a graduate student in
Correct.
instructional design and technology.
Mm-hmm.
And going by what you said earlier, and then also looking through the website for the interns, it's biennial, and I'm just wondering if it's too early to take on the trial on this.
No, you can apply at any time. I can tell you from my own experience, I did not get selected the first time that I applied, and that is pretty typical for many of the interns that end up by getting selected. And it all depends on who the other applicants are on how you end up by rating for the evaluations. So I definitely don't discourage you from applying this year. You can always apply, and if you're not selected this year, you can use feedback that you get from this application process to strengthen your application for next year. That's what I ended up by doing, and several of my fellow interns did the same thing. You know, they applied and didn't get selected the first time, and then reached out, got feedback about their application, and applied a second or third time, and then were selected in a consecutive application period. So I would definitely say, if you're interested in the program and you have a desire to develop your leadership skills and receive mentoring, definitely look into filling out the application and see how you do this year. And if you're not selected, I highly encourage you to apply again. I know for me personally, the difference in my application from one year to the next was like night and day. I had a couple of activities when I applied the first time, and then the second time that I applied, I had a lot more experience within the association of things that I had done that were able to highlight my qualities as a leader and my initiative to help out within the organization. So it's definitely to your benefit to apply, and definitely request feedback if you don't get selected, because I'm happy to go through the application and give you specific feedback to your application on how you can strengthen for the next year.
Thank you very much. That makes a lot of sense. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. No problem. And don't get discouraged if you don't get selected this year. Like I said, it really does depend on the applicant pool that is submitted. So, sometimes we'll get people that only have, a year of experience with the organization or 2 years of experience with the organization, and that is like the norm. And sometimes we'll get people who apply that have been in the organization 5 to 6 years. So it really depends. It varies so much every year. That's why I say, don't count yourself out. Go ahead and definitely apply if you have an interest and a desire to develop as a leader. Because you can only benefit from applying as well, because then you'll get feedback on how you can strengthen your application for the next time if you're interested and you don't get selected. So it's definitely beneficial to go through the application process.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? There are 5 statements or questions, I believe, that usually fill out, and I'm trying to see if I can actually, I'll just grab, if I can get it to open. No, it is not. Not having a good experience with this internet today for some reason. I figured I can't get the website to open, so I was going to look for the actual Google form and have that open, but when I open it, that is not loading correctly either. I do apologize that I'm not able to show that information to you. But if you go on to the intern website, which is on the bottom of this slide, aect.org/intern program, there's a landing page there that gives you information about each one of the different awards. And then if there's an option to click to read more info or see more info, and that brings you to a page that gives you specific information about the awards. So the Cochrane and the Strobin are on the same subpage. And at the bottom of that subpage, there's a link to access the Google form and submit your application. But on that subpage for the Cochrane and Strobin, it has the actual candidate statements so that you can prep ahead of time. Because the Google application only allows you to fill it out at one sitting. So you're not able to go back in and add additional information. So I highly recommend that you compose your answers prior to beginning the application. And then there's also a rubric on there as well that provides information about how your application packet is evaluated, and it gives you the different criteria, and it gives you different specific descriptions for the criteria of what's being looked at by the selection committee. The selection committee consists of a past AECT president, a past AECT intern, and someone, usually the president, but not always if they're not available, of the AECT Foundation. So there are 3 people that comprise the selection committee, and they go through the applications and then rank the applications based on the criteria that is on the website there. And so they do that initially with a ranking form, and then I put together an email to all 3 committee members listing out their top 5 applicants. And then they have a meeting and qualitatively discuss the applicants that they feel are the strongest and come to a consensus on selecting the individuals that would be awarded the Leadership Development Intern Awards for that year. Any other questions I might be able to answer? All right, just as a reminder that the application deadline is June 3rd at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. And that includes all 3 components of the application: the Google form application, uploading your CV or resume to the Dropbox request link, and also your sponsor submitting a recommendation letter for you. Once all 3 of those things are complete, I will send you a confirmation email saying that your application packet is complete. For anyone who's applied by now, I will send out a reminder for anything that's outstanding or missing from the application. I will send that out 2 weeks before the deadline. And I also send out a reminder to your sponsors. If I have not received their letter, I send that out as well 2 weeks before the deadline for anyone who has submitted an application. And then that last week before it's due, I usually send out a final reminder to the intern applicant and also to the sponsors that have been identified, with one final reminder that the materials are due. So it looks like my internet might be cooperating now, so I'm going to try to pull the website up. All right. Can you see the website now?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so if you go to aect.org/intern program, this is the landing page. Like I said, it lists the different award types, and then there is a option to click Learn More and Apply for each one of them. The Cochrane and the Strobin go to the same landing page. The Jenny K. Johnson won't be awarded this year, but if you wanted to learn more about that award, you could click on that, Learn More, and it'll give you more information on the subpage for that as well. So going to the Strobin and Cochrane information, let's see. It's thinking. No, I spoke too soon. I thought it was going to work for me. No. All right, that's not being helpful. Let me try one more thing. No, that's not working either. All right. Let's try this one more time. No, it doesn't look like that's going to work. All right, I do apologize. I am not quite sure what's going on with my internet service today, but it's definitely not being cooperative. So that pretty much covers what you need for the application. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I will send you the recording. You can go back and listen to it again. The application is due June 3rd. And between now and then, if you have questions, you can definitely reach out to me and ask whatever information you need, or if you need clarification on something, I'm happy to assist you in any way I can. The only thing I can't do is review your application before you submit it. So. I've had that happen before in the past, where some people have asked me to review their application before they submit it, and that's not something that I can do. Do you have more questions?
None from me. If there's any, I'll send you an email after going through your website.
No problem, Anu.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sharif or Tracy, do either of you have any questions? All right, let's see if we have something in the chat. You're welcome, Sharif. If you have any questions, definitely go ahead and reach out to me. I'm going to put the email address in the chat box for you. If you have, oh, I put that. Let's try that again. There we go. All right, so the email address, if you have questions, is aect-intern-chair@aect.org. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and let me know. Otherwise, you will receive this recording from me a little later this afternoon or first thing tomorrow. Just depends on how long it takes for it to render. And with my internet not cooperating with me today, I might need to send it to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you attending and wish you the best and good luck in your application.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Bye.